fascinating biblical discoveries have been uncovered at ancient Shiloh.
Stones that speak. For over 3,000 years, the hills of ancient Shiloh stood in quiet stillness. The breeze moved gently through olive trees. Dust settled over buried stones. And what once echoed with prayer and sacrifice lay hushed beneath the soil. Shiloh, the forgotten heart of ancient Israel. But something has begun to stir. Beneath layers of history, archaeologists are uncovering something remarkable. Not merely a ruin or an artifact, but a story. A sacred story. A structure with dimensions and direction that mirror the biblical blueprint given in Exodus. A place that may very well have cradled the Ark of the Covenant, where the very presence of God once dwelled among his people. This isn't just about stones and bones. This is about memory. This is about faith being made visible. This is about something ancient awakening again. Before we continue, if you're moved by stories where history and faith converge, where the Bible comes alive in new and powerful ways, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to light. Now, let's journey together to the heart of Israel, to Shiloh. Shiloh in the Bible, a holy beginning. Hidden in the gentle hills of central Israel lies a place many overlook today. But in the days of Joshua, it was the beating heart of a nation's spiritual life. Shiloh, the very name echoes with quiet reverence. When the Israelites entered the Promised Land, Joshua gathered all the tribes at Shiloh. It was here that the land was divided by lot, not just by borders, but by divine promise. Here, the sacred tent known as the Tabernacle was set up. For nearly 400 years, this was Israel's holy center, a place where heaven touched earth. Shiloh is where Hannah wept and prayed in silence, and where her prayer was heard. Where she conceived Samuel, the prophet who would anoint kings. It's where Eli ministered in days of spiritual uncertainty. Where sacrifices were offered, sins confessed, and lives changed. And it's where the Ark of the Covenant once rested, until it was lost in battle, and Shiloh's sacred season came to a quiet, mournful close. Yet the ground remained, the blueprint of the tabernacle. According to Exodus 26, God gave Moses exact instructions to build the tabernacle. A portable sanctuary made from acacia wood overlaid with gold, fine linens of blue and purple, and precise measurements in a 2-to-1 ratio. The outer room, the holy place, and the inner chamber, the most holy place. Most people assume that a structure made of wood and fabric wouldn't leave a trace after thousands of years. But what if it did? What if the very shape, the very pattern, still whispers from the soil? The discovery, a structure like no other. For years, the ancient site of Shiloh had been quietly studied. Archaeologists sifted through layers of time, finding pottery shards, animal bones, and broken tools. Until recently, the dig began to reveal something different. Dr. Scott Stripling, an experienced archaeologist, noticed a structure beginning to take shape. One that wasn't just random stone. It was laid out with care, direction, and proportion. The orientation, east to west, just as the tabernacle was commanded to face. In biblical times, direction mattered deeply. East meant the light of dawn, new beginnings, the divine. The alignment wasn't symbolic. It was sacred. Then came the measurements. The structure was divided into 2 sections, one exactly twice the length of the other. A perfect match to the biblical tabernacle's proportions. The dating of pottery and bones found nearby pointed to Iron Age I, around 1100 BCE. That's exactly when the tabernacle is believed to have stood in Shiloh. This wasn't the tabernacle itself. That would have vanished centuries ago. But perhaps it was something else. A foundation, platform, footprint, inside the sacred pattern. Thanks to modern technology, researchers have created 3D simulations of what the space may have looked like. It's not grand in the worldly sense. There are no golden walls or towering stone columns. But there's something deeper, something powerful. Entering from the east, you step into the holy place. A long open room where incense once burned, where sacred bread was kept, where a golden lampstand shone through the night. Then, beyond a thick dividing wall, the inner sanctuary, a smaller space, enclosed and set apart. The most holy place. No idol, No throne, no carved figure, just emptiness filled with presence. In that chamber, the Ark of the Covenant once rested between the wings of the cherubim. And here's what stuns archaeologists. The floor level hasn't changed in over 3,000 years. That means this place wasn't reused, rebuilt, or reimagined. It was left alone, revered. The stones begin to speak. What's happening at Shiloh isn't just archaeology. For many, it's spiritual. Volunteers at the site say it plainly, "I'm not just digging into the Bible, I'm standing inside it." Small discoveries, an animal bone, a clay fragment, become sacred relics in their eyes. And when you look at the unearthed layout next to the biblical blueprint, something clicks. Could this really be the place where the Ark once stood? Where Israel gathered to worship? Where heaven met earth? Dr. Stripling walks the site with reverent awe. "You're probably standing where the Ark of the Covenant was," he says softly, not as a declaration but as an invitation to wonder. The evidence of worship. There's more. Just outside the structure, archaeologists uncovered animal bones, mainly from sheep, goats, and cattle. These were the very animals designated in Leviticus for temple sacrifice. Many had burn marks, indicating offerings made by fire. Nearby, simple pottery, unadorned, used for ritual use. Burnt clay, traces of ancient hearths or altars. No storage pits, no grinding tools, no kitchens, no signs of domestic life. This place wasn't lived in. It was worshipped in. Taken together, the structure, its layout, its direction, its dating, and the ritual remains. The evidence paints a compelling picture. This may very well be the sacred platform on which the tabernacle once stood. A spiritual pattern reawakened. The tabernacle was never just a tent. It was the living center of Israel's spiritual life. It moved with the people. It was placed in the center of their camp, not on the edge. God wasn't far away. He was right there in the middle of it all. But the tabernacle was also a shadow of something to come. The Apostle Paul would later write, "Do you not know that you are God's temple, and that God's Spirit dwells in you?" That changes everything. The presence that once filled a fabric-covered room in the wilderness now fills human hearts. The stones of Shiloh speak not just of what was, but of what still is. God dwelling with his people. First in a tent, then in a man, now in all who welcome him. End time echoes. Is something stirring again? And now a deeper question rises. Why is this being revealed now? After over 3,000 years, why is the ground of Shiloh speaking again? Across Israel, something is stirring. A growing movement is preparing for the rebuilding of the temple. Priestly garments have been sewn. Sacred items have been reconstructed, like the menorah, the table of showbread, and the altar of incense. Even the red heifers, key to purification rituals, are being raised according to biblical law. Could this rediscovery at Shiloh be more than archaeological? Could it be prophetic? Shiloh was the first resting place of God's presence in the Promised Land. If its sacred footprint is rising now, is it pointing to a future visitation? Is God preparing hearts for another chapter? Conclusion. A story still being told. Long ago, Shiloh was filled with the sounds of worship, songs, prayers, sacrifices, and tears. Then silence. Centuries of it. Until now. Today, as archaeologists brush away dust and uncover sacred patterns, a story is being retold. Not just with words, but with stones. With evidence. With wonder. The tabernacle may be gone, but its message lives on. God is still dwelling with his people, not in tents or temples, but in hearts made ready. So we return to the question, what are we meant to hear? What are we meant to remember? And perhaps most importantly, what are we being prepared for? This story isn't over. Shiloh is